When you first walk into the van, it kind of feels like you get taken on a little bit of a psychedelic journey. We're a big fan of the work harder, not smarter mentality. Every single dial has been turned to 10, more or less. Most things in this van are just dripping with these teak slats. You also have our special composting toilet, my pride and joy. And then we have this part that folds up to reveal kind of the heart and soul of this van. This thing is pretty much the biggest, baddest roof rack in the game for a van. Everything you touch, everything you see, everything you smell, everything you feel, like feels good, smells good. And it just makes you feel relaxed. Hey, my name is Shane from Landship Customs, and this is the Shredzeppelin. I started my van journey lost and looking for purpose in life. Decided to go back to school to figure out what I want to do with my life. And instead of taking out loans and going broke, my then girlfriend, now wife at the time, we decided to take a U-Haul truck and build it into a tiny home. And we lived in that thing when we went back to school for 2.5 years. And that's what started this whole journey. In school, I studied renewable energy. We built out a second van, and then a bunch of people started hitting me up and wanted vans, and I decided to do this full time. I partnered up with an incredible woodworker who had a background in yacht building, and we combined his traditional woodworking skills with my background in solar and tech, and just tried to make a brand that built vans that had the most insane technology and the most incredible woodworking on the market. So the people that come to us just want a van that has, you know, every single dial has been turned to 10, more or less. And that's kind of what we specialize in. So we built this van for Max and Carly, and they use this thing for extended multi-week, month-long trips. They're huge into snowboarding and surfing, and so they will load up and have all the toys they need, and then also have, you know, all the incredible amenities to be cozy no matter where they are. Max and Carly love bohemian style, and they love like natural organic materials, and they also love classic rock. We combined all of those things and created the Shredzeppelin. When you first walk into the van, it kind of feels like you get taken on a little bit of a psychedelic journey. Come on into the Shredzeppelin. So first thing that we're gonna check out is this special bathroom. It's kind of one of the showpieces of this van. So we built an interesting bathroom that has a interesting shaped shower pan that allows you to have a 2-foot wide bathroom, but also a lot of space to enjoy a shower. Open this slider, reveals the bathroom. We have a second sliding door that you can walk through to the front right here. And then I'm actually gonna squat down a little bit so you guys can see one of my favorite parts of this van, which is our infinity mirror backsplash in this thing. So we backlit it. We took this patinaed copper and made this kind of yin-yang shape, and then we actually sandwiched a layer of see-through mirror and a layer of normal mirror and put LED lighting in between, and it creates this infinite type of shape. We just wanted the second that you open the sliding door to see this thing and just kind of get transported into a different dimension. And then we also did a bunch of quarter lighting. You also have our special composting toilet, the LSSB, the Landship shit bucket, my pride and joy. And this thing slides out of the wall here. This is the most advanced version of the LSSB that we've ever made. So the real secret behind the LSSB is that when you're using a compost toilet normally, it separates the liquids and the solids. And then the solids you mix with something like peat moss or something really carbon rich to neutralize the nitrogen in your poo. and that turns it into like an odorless kind of dirt, and you just take it out like the trash. Solids are no big deal, but liquids in a compost toilet are pretty awful. You usually have a big pee jug and you gotta dump that thing, and wherever you dump it, you feel like a terrorist because it's a giant radius of terrible smell wherever you dump that pee. So anyways, I was sick of that after living with compost toilets for years, and so we actually plumb pee under the van into the gray water tank, and it mixes with the soapy water from the shower in the sink, and then we just make sure to use biodegradable soaps. And then we have a natural urine neutralizing enzyme. You pour that down the drain before you dump your gray water tank, and it makes it totally odor free. And then you can just dump it on plants and they love it. It has a nice drawer that slides out like this that holds your compost material as well as your TP, whatever. But then you also doubles as a squatty potty for ergonomic number 2s. So that's the LSSB. You won't find an LSSB in any other van but a Landship. And next, let's head into the kitchen. Moving back in the van, we got a big old closet. Open up the closet, we have these cool little push poppers right here that also kind of match the vibe. Going down, we got another drawer that sneaks in right here. And then under there, this is a hatch that you can just access the compost toilet and do any maintenance you need to do. Most things in this van are just dripping with these teak slats, which is kind of the aesthetic of the van, and we think it turned out really nice. The teak slats are also finished with something called Rubio Monocoat, which is a natural linseed oil based finish, and it gives it a really nice smell actually, and just makes it really durable. Cruising on over, we've got these curved upper cabinets. We try to make everything in this van really curvy. A little harder to build than straight upper cabinets, but we're a big fan of the work harder, not smarter mentality at Landship. Going down here, this is another really unique zone in the van. You can see another kind of trippy, psychedelic infinity mirror backsplash. So custom made this infinity mirror, and then we have this naturally patinaed copper that we wrap around wood to make this backsplash. I'm really stoked on how that turned out. We love how this kind of turquoise stands out from the rest of the van, and it also matches the outside of this van, which I thought was pretty fun. And then under here, you pull up this cutting board, which on the top, we inlaid patinaed copper into all the countertops, which is also pretty unique, work harder, not smarter mentality, but I think it turned out pretty beautiful. Another cool thing about the copper is like as it ages and kind of gets some wear on it, I think it actually looks even better. It kind of patinas more and just looks cooler as it gets older, which I like. You can flip this guy upside down, use it as a cutting board, and then we have our hidden sink under here. So this is pretty cool. This sink folds up. You can get this sink online, but we actually modified it. We also added a reverse osmosis filtered water spigot into this folding sink. So the sink, when you buy it, has this normal faucet, but we actually found this reverse osmosis spigot that also folds down, and then drilled a hole through this stainless steel, which was pretty hard, and customized it. So I was pretty excited about that. And then pop this back on, got more countertop space. This van has a lot of countertop space, if you haven't noticed. And then we have this part that folds up to reveal kind of the heart and soul of this van, which is a record player cabinet that we custom made for this van. So as we said before, Max and Carly, their favorite band is Led Zeppelin. And so I was trying to come up with a way to just infuse Led Zeppelin into this van, and we thought of putting a record player cabinet in here, and they love listening to vinyl. And so We found this record player cabinet that's made of bamboo and matches some of the other vibes in the van. We had this plexiglass case like custom made to make it curve and match the rest of the aesthetic of the van. It's pretty awesome when you get this thing spinning and start blasting Led Zeppelin. We got a pretty badass sound system in this thing, and when you get the Zepp flowing, it's pretty awesome. And then we can go over to this side of the kitchen, which, why do we have such a big countertop on this side of the kitchen with this inlaid copper? One is because we have a massive fridge built in here. And this fridge, the Isotherm 200, is one of the bigger, under countertop fridges that you can get. You can fit a lot of freezer stuff in here and a lot of fridge stuff in here. So it's nice to have a huge fridge. We also had another infinity backsplash. I just kind of went crazy and I was like, well, can't have an infinity backsplash on this side and have nothing on this side. So we got another one. You might ask, where is the cooktop in this thing? We actually have this slide out pantry, and the cooktop lives, it's an induction cooktop that lives in here. This slide out pantry is lined with the same cork that we use for the flooring. It's a really cool material called cork-oleum, and it feels really soft to the touch. We have a flip-up table that you can pop the cooktop on too, so you don't even have to use up this countertop space to cook. Up here, this upper cabinet is a little special. So storage on this side, but then we actually put a air fryer into this cabinet up here because I am a huge fan of air fryers. It cooks things way quicker than on a cooktop, but not quite as quick as a microwave, but it makes them taste amazing. It doesn't taste like gooey like after a microwave. So big fan of having the air fryer in here. All right, so you get to the back of the van, and right now it is in living room mode. And you can see we used all real genuine leather for all the upholstery in this van. So you can feel it, you can smell it, you can taste it and touch it. It feels really good. As you use it, it starts to look cooler and cooler in my opinion. And then this zone actually turns into a king size bed. There's blankets and stuff that are stored in this box under your feet. We got the teak slats inside of this nice wave shape that's lit up. And then we also have these wavy open shelves up top so you can store a bunch of cool stuff. These bump outs are kind of special. So we added flares in the van just to give a little extra space for holding things. Got the cork on the bottom. We accented this bump out with a patinaed copper. One other special feature we put in is we actually have these thermally insulated blackout blinds built into all the windows. And so you just pull it right down like that, and it's very well insulated with double cell walled blinds, and you just push it right up. Totally blocks out all the light and all of the heat or cold. Another really cool feature of this van is we put in this surround sound Bose system. So these speakers actually pop off and you can place them anywhere you want around the van and create a fully immersive surround sound system. So when you're rocking your record player in here, it's just insanely good sound quality. We also built a subwoofer center console in between the driver and passenger seat, so this thing really bumps. We also have a projector screen that pops up right here and rolls down, and then a projector that pops right here, so you can have indoor projector movie time. Obviously this thing has pretty unique aesthetics and woodworking, but we try to max out the tech in a Landship as well. So first thing here, we've got a Victron screen. Everyone can see Victron screens, they do great. But what you don't see is that we have 15 kilowatt hours of fully heated Victron batteries in here, which is a ton of power, and also 2 parallel 3000 watt Victron inverters to make a 6000 watt inverter system. And so that allows you to plug in anything you could possibly want all at the same time and never have to worry about how much inverter power you have. And then you've got a Rixson system, which it's a hydronic heated flooring system and air heat system. So it actually uses the diesel from the diesel tank, heats up a coil, and then heats glycol through the floor and charges up the whole floor of the van. Then we got cruising comfort, air conditioning. In my opinion, cruising comfort just blasts the most cold air. Like this thing, we insulated this thing to the nines. We used lizard skin insulation, lizard skin sound deadening. So all the metal is covered with a thermal deadening layer. Then we did a combination of Thinsulate and blow-in wool. So that blows wool behind all the nooks and crannies of the metal. So we have a really thick layer of insulation everywhere. And then we have these incredible heating and cooling systems. So you can be in a really hot place and be completely comfortable and chilly in this van, or a really cold place and be super comfortable. And then we have heating and remote dumping of the gray water tank. So all of the plumbing in the van is heated. If you're in a cold place, you never have to worry about frozen pipes. So that's what we got going on here on the systems wall. And yeah, why don't we check out the outside of the van now. Front of the van, we got the Backwoods Mods bumper with the big old bull bar. Then we got some GFX wheels with some big old KO2 tires. So these things roll over just about anything. And then we have the big Agile Off-Road 2-inch suspension. We got upgraded leaf springs for 5,500 pounds to be able to handle the weight. Last but not least, we've got the 2024 Landship solar sail on the roof. This thing has been 4 years of R&D in the making, and it's pretty much the biggest, baddest roof rack in the game for a van. So we've got 1,200 watts of walkable solar panels on there. We actually designed the lid so you can walk on top of it and keep all your gear inside and still use it as a roof deck. And then the inside of the box, you can fit, like we went on a trip recently and we fit 3 longboard surfboards and 3 people's worth of snowboard gear and a bunch of camping gear for friends all up in there. So you can bring your entire quiver of toys on one long trip. All right, so the back of this van has a bunch of gear on it. First thing you'll notice is this Kuat piston bike rack. This thing folds down and you can fit 2 big, heavy e-bikes on this thing, which is pretty cool. You also can just pull the pin and just take this thing out and leave it in your garage if you don't want to use it. And then it has this arm that swivels out, and now you can access the boxes. So this box, got a normal size storage box. Then this box, I'm really excited about what we did with this box. So this is a boost box from Sandy Vans, another place that you can store a bunch of snowboards or skis or whatever type of gear that you want. But we made it special where we actually added electrical into this thing and then added boot dryers and glove dryers into this thing, as well as electric wetsuit hangers. So all this stuff can get pulled out if you don't want to use it, but when you're going snowboarding and you're able to dry off your boots in between snowboard sessions while you're camping in the parking lot, and all your gloves and all your wet gear, it is a game changer. And then when you're in surf mode, these electric wetsuit hangers dry out a wetsuit in literally 2 hours. And so you can have multiple dry wetsuit surf sessions in a day. And you know, when the waves are pumping mid-January in California, it's not that warm, makes a big difference. So really excited about the gear drying room modified boost box that we put on this thing. And then all your electrical, all your circuit breakers are right here. And then on this side's your water. So this is where you fill up your fresh water. This button, you press it and it actually opens a ball valve. And what it does is it is now a ventilation for the freshwater tank. So when you fill up the freshwater, you open that button. And if you overfill the freshwater tank, it'll just flow onto the ground under the van instead of causing a mess in your van. So that's a fun feature that we like to do. And then this is outdoor shower setup. So you can open up this box right here and you can see where we have our hoses and our outdoor shower setup right here. So you just plug that thing in and then boom, spray off your dogs, spray yourself off. It's nice to have an outdoor shower. Being able to have everything you need and the feeling of home wherever you want to go, you know, after a surf or after a snowboard sesh, it's the best. I just want you to feel something when you walk into a Landship van. There's something that you can just subconsciously feel when there's a really natural and organic material that doesn't have any, you know, VOCs, and it looks beautiful too. Everything you touch, everything you see, everything you smell, everything you feel, like, feels good, smells good, and it just makes you feel relaxed.
If you like this week's episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check back soon because we have new unique home tours publishing all the time. And if you'd like to join our team and get access to members-only content and unique perks, make sure you click on the join button below.